Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to my Read It or Unhaul It vlog. For this vlog, I am looking at my TBR cart and going, I need to read these or at least try them before I decide to keep them or get rid of them. So I actually want to try and cull my TBR. That is the ultimate goal for this. And I've chosen about 5 or 6 books that I want to kind of dive into and then let you know whether I like them or not. So first cab off the rank is a book that I have been putting off for months, and it's Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. This is a story about Senlin and his wife Maria, and they both go to the Tower of Babel, I think, as tourists. And so while they're there, they're perusing the markets as you do, and then one moment Senlin turns his back and realizes that his wife's luggage and his wife have both disappeared, and he doesn't really know anything about this city. He knows all about the tower because he's a scholar of the Tower of Babel, but he doesn't really know anything about the city, and he's kind of a useless human being, if I'm being honest. I got 20 pages into this one and I was like, I don't like it. And the reasons I don't like it are just because of Senlin. I think if it was told from a different perspective with different writing that wasn't so flowery and almost pretentious, I think I would actually like it. I don't like it though, and I just find Senlin boring. And that's unfortunate because it sounds like a cool concept, and the fact that his wife wasn't murdered at the beginning gives me hope that there is more of a plot to this than I initially thought. I was hoping that it wouldn't be the woman in the fridge trope, and to some extent it kind of is, but with a bit of a twist or subversion where she's not obviously killed, she's just gone. And so is her luggage, which is the intriguing part. So I'm glad that I tried this, but I'm annoyed that it turned out the way I thought and I didn't end up liking it because just the tone is just not what I want. I don't know if it's the writing, as in the author's intent to make Senlin so bland and boring, but he thinks he knows everything, so he's got himself up on this almost pedestal and he's not bragging about it. He's just living his life as if he knows everything, kind of unapologetically. And it doesn't come across as arrogance, it just comes across as him being dumb. Like there's a character at the very beginning and he's talking about the place in the Tower of Babel that they're in, like the skirting around the edges. And Senlin's like, well, I've never heard of this place before, so is this actually where we are? And he's supposed to be a scholar of the Tower of Babel, but he doesn't know anything about Babel, I'm guessing. So it seems like it could go somewhere in terms of humbling Senlin, but I don't really care for it, to be honest. And the writing is just really boring to me. So I gave it a shot, and I'm glad to say that it is now off my TBR cart. And in my next unhaul video, expect to see this book, but I have decided that it is going. And then we've got a book that I was really hoping that I wouldn't dislike, because I started this earlier in the year and I was like, I don't feel like it right now, but I would like to report that I'm enjoying it. That's partly due to the font, because it's a big font, and even though I'm an adult, reading big font makes me feel accomplished. And that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. This is a split perspective book about witches in the modern day. It's an urban fantasy, so while it's like our world, it actually is adjacent to our world and it's not quite the same at all. There was a war, I think a decade or so ago, and witches in general exist, and so does magic, but humans, like mundanes, they don't realize that magic exists. So there was a war with the warlocks and the witches, and now there's this whole fallout, and there is a coven that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and it's run by Helena, who is introduced as a young woman or a child at the beginning, and the other kids that she was introduced with when they were playing and talking in this treehouse. These are the main characters that you go forward with in the story. And the reason that I felt alienated by it in the past, I thought it was the split perspectives, and it's actually not the split perspectives. They're reading just fine this time around, my second shot. I think this was alienating to me because it's got a very strong tone, and that tone is very in your face in terms of social commentary. And sometimes you need to have the brain for it, and sometimes it just is not the right thing to read. And I'm a very big mood reader, so obviously I wasn't feeling that brain capacity at the time. And I feel like some parts potentially will be a little bit preachy from the reviews I've seen for this book, but honestly, good on Juno Dawson for being preachy, because some people need to hear it. So I'm liking what is being set up at the moment. The characters are scattered, but I'm assuming because they knew each other at the beginning as kids, they're all going to come back together in some form or another. So I'm going to stick with it and see how it goes. And I've heard it has a cracker ending, so I hope I can stick to it for that long. But that is my update for now. One DNF and one continuation that I'm liking. So I think those are pretty decent odds so far. I'm back really quick because I forgot one more thing about Senlin. And that thing is that I thought that the wife Maria was going to also be the counterbalance to Senlin. And it would have worked really well because she was compassionate and curious, and Senlin was not keen to learn new things. He thought he knew everything already, but the fact that she disappears at the beginning means that that counterbalance can't happen. So that also was kind of disappointing, but maybe again it's a humbling experience for Senlin because he goes on to take on some of those traits and realize that he needs to open up a little bit more. Or it could go the other way and he could just get more about himself and just put himself even further up on a pedestal. Who knows, but I have DNF'd it, so I don't need to worry. What are you reading? So cozy by the window. I am so proud of myself because I have now finished Her Majesty's Royal Coven and I gave this a 4 stars. I'm not obviously going to spoil anything, but the ending was super hyped up and I thought that it would be a massive excitable cliffhanger. And when I got to the ending, I was like, oh, I don't actually feel this stuck the landing. So that just combined with how I felt about the book in general. I like the potential of where this has set up the sequel to go, and I know I have to wait a while for the sequel, but at least I finished it. Which means that I now have a few more books left over to read for this vlog, or at least try. One of them is my much feared Kushal's Dart read because I don't think I'm gonna like this. So I thought I'd start it right now, and then if I don't like it, I'm gonna put it straight down. And I think this is going to be a pretty immediate DNF. I'm really worried it will be. Actually, also I'm worried it won't be, because if I end up not minding it, then it's 1,000 pages long. So I have a commitment ahead of me. I've made it 7 pages into this book, and I don't like it or dislike it, but I noticed that I've started to kind of skim. And that's not because I'm reading it because I know there's a camera in front of me and I'm trying to get through it quickly. I think I'm skimming because the writing is flowery. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm struggling to get connected with this character. And I think that's also due to me not giving it enough time that I need to in order to sink into it. But I also can't be bothered trying to sink into it. I'm not sure. I just tried looking at the audiobook on Audible and it's not there. A few other books by Jacqueline Carey are, but this one for some reason is not. I'm really not sure about this. Maybe I should read some more and then decide. But I feel like if I'm already on the fence about it, then I need to just call it quits. This is a really hard one. So instead of making a choice right now, I might just leave it to settle for a bit and then dip in and out of it during the week. And then I've got the other 2 books here. So I might read maybe the first page of each one and then see what I feel. I'll start with Memory Called Empire. I'm not even past the first paragraph and already there are more words in the first paragraph that I don't know compared to what I'd know. And I think that's maybe just because it's sci-fi, or it's just because it's being particularly complicated on purpose. And I'm not, I don't know, I don't think this is mine, like for me either. I'll try actual chapter 1 instead of the prelude, maybe that'll be different. This feels like it's being extra unnecessarily, like extra sci-fi. Let me read you something so that you can see what I mean. First of all, this word, I disagree with it. Kind of like Rebel Wilson in Pitch Perfect when she's like, not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate. Wait for it. She's on a ship and it says, she squirted from the side of the Imperial cruiser Ascension's Red Harvest and burned atmosphere on her planetward trajectory, which distorted the view. Not a good enough reason to use the word squirted. Thus, the first time she saw the city with her own flesh eyes, not in infofitch or holograph or imagine memory, it was haloed in white fire and shone like an endless glittering sea, an entire planet rendered into I can't pronounce this word, an Encumenopolis, palatially urban. Does that seem extra, or am I being really nitpicky? Either way, I think, am I too dumb for this book? I think I'm too dumb for this book. I don't think I'm going to continue reading this book. I think this is a no. I hope this is a yes. I'm going to try this one now. This already feels like something I could enjoy because it's setting up a courtroom with a governor, which seems like one of the protagonists, and she's noticing everybody in the room. And it's almost like she's doing an internal eye roll because this person that is talking at them is just going on and on and on. And she's like, another 6 minutes and it will be a new record. So it seems like this is a place that she has been before, so it's familiar to her. She's noticing characters doing things around her, like one is staring at someone specifically, one of them is absent, that kind of thing. So already I feel like I'm in, and that's what the first page has to do. Whereas with this, the prelude ironically alienated me, and then when I started the chapter 1, there were so many extra words in there that didn't have meanings that I could specifically relate to. It was kind of like it was trying to slap me in the face with all of its terminology because it's demonstrating that it's a clever book. And I'm like, well, it's clever and I'm too dumb for it, so I'm probably just gonna get rid of it. And then I'm gonna probably hold on to this. I don't know if I'm gonna read this next. I do want to give this a little bit more of a try. I feel bad, but at least out of this vlog so far, I've finished Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is a second chance for me because I thought that I wouldn't like it and it turns out I did. So thank you to me for trying it again, and maybe I need to do that with cull. I'm probably gonna regret saying that. I already feel like it's not gonna be my thing. I don't know, maybe I should read until 10 pages and see if we get to the point where this character is narrating from, because at the moment she's telling us about her parents and how she was a peasant child and how they, I think, pledged her to some royal line. I don't know, there was a massive, you know what? I'm just gonna call it, because I did not do this with Hero of Ages. Even though I love that book and I wanted to reread it, I've let it drag for months and months and months. So instead of me going, no, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna revisit it, I'm gonna put off other things and read this instead, I'm not. I'm not gonna do that because I keep trying to squeeze things in and force myself to read things. And in the case of Her Majesty's Royal Coven, I knew that I would probably like it based on her previous writing, and I knew that my mood was the thing that was affecting it. And so I put it down and then tried it again later. With this, I saw all of the different house names in the front. I saw the flowery writing. I saw the fact that we are reading from like an outsider perspective of the main character, that she's rehashing all of the points that preclude the actual story. So it's giving us way, way too much context. That's why this feels like a brick. It's so big and I don't think I care about it. I am eager to see what that twist at 151 pages is, because I've been told that that's a turning point. If I can get my hands on the audiobook, I'd probably consider continuing this, but I feel like I shouldn't. I just feel like I shouldn't. Okay, so it's a few days later and I've thought about the things that I wanted to get through and DNF and unhaul and stuff in this vlog. So as a result, I'm probably going to not continue Kushal Dart because 1, I think it's very long. 2, I think that I don't feel like I could become immersed in this book, and 3, I don't want to drag this on the way I did with Hero of Ages this entire year and then feel like I'm burned out or not reading something else. So I didn't think that I would like this, and there is a reason that I have also put it off this long and pretended that it wasn't on my TBR cart. So I'm kind of glad and very relieved that I'm putting this off my TBR, because sometimes that's just how it works out, and while this series could be for other people, it's clearly not my thing. And then I also DNF'd 2 other books. One was Senlin Ascends, which I discussed at the beginning of this vlog, and then the other one was a memory called Empire, which I still feel too dumb for, but as soon as I stopped reading this and put it down, it completely left my head, like head empty, no thoughts. So I'm glad I put it down as well, actually. So I'm proud to say that my TBR is looking a little bit more slim now. I would like to do this vlog again though, and I'm glad I also had some successes in this, which would be Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which I quite enjoyed actually and gave 4 stars, although like I said, the ending wasn't worth the hype to me and I don't quite believe it, but I will continue whenever the next book comes out, we'll see. And then lucky last, I started City of Stairs in that really quick few clips earlier, or like a few days ago, for me anyway. For you it looks like it's earlier, and I like this. I've read 40 pages now, and the way that this kind of starts off is in that hall where everybody's hearing this court case of this guy who displayed a divine symbol in his store. And because he displayed the symbol, people came to the store and he got more of a profit. But displaying symbols of divinity is illegal in this empire, and so he's being tried in court for it. But while he's there presenting to court, the governor, she gets a missive, and that missive says that somebody high up has been murdered, and now it's a investigation into his murder. So we get that governor's perspective, I imagine, going through the story. And then there's another character in here as well, and she is an operative, I believe, and she's got this massive hulking bodyguard, and it seems like she's a spy of some kind. So it's going to be, I imagine, about her having mild access to the magics left over by the divinities that people aren't aware that they exist. And then there's also a major political, I guess, not outcry, but rebellion bubbling under the surface. I'm assuming that is going to come to a head in the city of Stairs, which is like almost like a mystical city. I'm kind of getting that vibe from it. So I'm enjoying this, and I probably will continue reading this. However, I just got some very exciting book mail. Hachette have sent me The Lost Metal, which is the next Brandon Sanderson book. I am beyond excited to read this, and so I might end up just ditching this and then reading this instead. It's probably gonna happen. I can't wait to read this. I think this is gonna be a 5 stars because it's a conclusion to a series that I've waited years for by one of my favorite authors. So of course I'm gonna drop everything and read it. But as for my unhaul vlog, I think it was quite successful, and I'm probably gonna do one again, like I said before, in the future, because I've still got 3 or 4 books that I'd like to try this process with, and if I like them, I'll keep them. If I don't, I'll get rid of them. So let me know if there's anything that you want to give a try, or maybe probably unhaul this year before we go into the new year. I would love to know. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.